I think quite often and more, people forget we're actually just normal human beings. I'm some dude that just does a lot of Lego. That's it.
You're just a guy. You're just a person like the rest of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, there is like I've met some cool peeps recently as well. There's some one or two Lego designers, one of which was on London Calling last week, and they are just regular guys and girls, and they, you know, we're just human. We're just
yeah.
But you got to do all the other stuff in life to get to doing the Lego stuff.
It's
and
true.
Like literally, I mean, I don't know what you're like for time. I'm kind of, I'm going to say, I almost said fortunate then, but it kind of depends what your point of view is.
Yeah.
But I don't have kids, but I've got a lot of kids in my family. One of my brothers, for example, has got like 8 kids. The other one's got a few. Most of my family are American as well. And, you know, so there's always I'm always trying to reach out to family. I'm always seeing family. And doing stuff like that, so it's all kind of time consuming, and I enjoy my time with my family as well. Like I love them to bits. So my windows of Lego stuff that I can do, is always somewhat truncated. Even though for this time of year, everyone's gearing up for Christmas and things like that, and the festive holidays. And to be honest, I've not even done any Christmas orientated videos. Being a YouTuber, I absolutely should be. But what I am doing is enjoying doing the live streams. And that's the thing I really like doing. It's a bit bizarre, really, why I've never really gone on and jumped on the bandwagon of being on Twitch.
Yeah. Well, here you are. Now. You're here now. You're with us. Yeah.
I'm kind of, I'm
welcome. Up. How's it feel to be on the Twitch side of things? I know it's early, but
it's bizarre. It's somewhat strange. I tell you what's really, I think maybe there's a piece of that as well. Maybe it's because I'm not hosting. So
yeah, I know. I was just, you know, we touched on it very briefly, but the fact that you're not the host, you've done so much on London Calling. How many episodes of your show have you done at this point?
Last Friday was the 200th.
200.
Yeah,
202.
202.
That's amazing.
Every Friday for 202 Fridays in a row. And I've missed 2. One of which was when I had COVID. And the second one was fairly recently, actually, a couple of months ago. I was actually in Spain. So
that's right.
So my friends covered it. So London Calling happened without me, but it was on my channel. It was everything. I gave my friends the keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
Yeah,
and they did a brilliant job. You know, so
they did wonderfully. They did wonderfully, man.
LC keeps going. So.
Yeah, it keeps going. I commend you, and I am very it's inspiring. Given just how many episodes that is, purely that it's no easy feat. I mean, this show is going on 80 episodes, and I can tell you that it is just your commitment to going every week is just so impressive. I know for me doing it. You know, I've done most weeks with winter vacations. It's been not as consistent. It's been every other week for the time being. But the fact that you've done 202 episodes is just commendable. So, welcome to the show. It's very good to see you. I mean, I know we definitely jumped right in. For those that don't know about you or what you do here on the internet, can you give us just a very quick breakdown of what you do?
Yeah, I mean, really, I could kind of break it down into kind of 4 things. Firstly, I'm kind of a Lego enthusiast on kind of so many levels. I can't really be nailed down or pinned down to any one thing. I'm host to the Lego weekly live stream called London Calling. It's a live stream. It's a podcast as well, as people like to call these things these days. I'm also a kind of wannabe Lego city builder, Legondan, everyone's heard about it. Very few people have seen it. In fact, more people, I think, have seen Loch Ness than Lagondon. But that's one of the pivoting things I'm going to be doing in 2024. I'm building lots of stuff for it.
Yeah.
So it will become a thing. And it kind of starts in earnest with a few trains, two of which are behind me now. And my main thing is I try my best. And I think everyone should try and do this. Love life, laughing, and being an all-round good London AFOL. That's me in a nutshell, really. That's all I want to be. I kind of focus on those areas as best I can, because I love going on tangents and down random things. But yeah, I Lego enthusiast, absolutely. AFOL, of course. I get enthusiastic about quite a lot of different things to do with Lego and other things as well. There's other things outside of that. Lego is everything that everyone kind of knows me for, but other bits and pieces I'm kind of interested in as well. Love Star Wars, like watching movies. I love artwork. All those sort of things. I don't really have a thing about bridges, in case anyone ever wondered.
Okay.
I just happen to work on and around London Bridge for the last 25 years in the city of London.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like why I decided to call it that. In fact, London Bridge Brick started off as two people. It was a guy called Paul and myself, and I kind of wanted to start doing it in around 2018, I think it was. And I said to my friend he was investing in Lego at the time, and I just started buying some Lego. And I said, do you want to start? Why don't we do a Lego YouTube channel? And he was like, what, like Mr. Beast? And I went, I don't know who Mr. Beast is, but anyway, he sounds good. So why don't we? And then after a kind of a while of kind of keep asking him, I said to him, why don't we just do it? And he said, yeah, let's go for it. So anyway, we started doing live streams as well as doing videos and stuff like that. And I think he was kind of with us on London Bridge Bricks, maybe for about a year or so. And then just as kind of COVID was kicking off, life caught up with him and stuff like that. And he just got busy doing other stuff. So I kind of reached that crossroads quite early in the process of having the YouTube channel. And it was a case of, well, do I carry it on or don't I? And we had this really cool kind of synergy whereby Paul would do all the video editing and he would do it really, really well. Like I'm one of these people, I completely keep up all my old stuff. And some of it's ropey and some of it is really good still. I think it's aged quite well. Yeah. And also as well, it reminds me and it shows other people that, you know, where you've come from to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I reached this crossroads. I was like, okay, if I do it on myself, that means I'm going to be doing everything, majorly doing the editing as well. So I kind of did a bit of a crash course in that, and I'm all right. I'm actually okay at it. I quite enjoy it. I love it to a certain degree. It's part of the creative process. So anyway, one thing led to another. Paul's still doing really, really well. And London Bridge Bricks is still a thing.
After all these years.
After all these years, and the weird thing is, after all these years, the thing that always tickles me is that London Bridge and Tower Bridge are continuously mixed up and confused. Like it actually even was today. I was watching Minarka earlier on. Yeah. Who's a regular on London Calling, and he was streaming. He was doing some building stuff, some Winter Village stuff, and so anyway, I'm kind of lurking in the background. He didn't even know I was there, and next thing I know, I'm swept away with him. I got taken away and raided. And I think it was someone called Your Nerdy Girl. And she was saying, London Bridge Bricks, great to have you here. You'd never guess what I recently bought this. I recently bought your bridge, London Bridge. And I was like, oh, I know where this is going to go. And she showed the pictures of it. And it's like, no, that's Tower Bridge. So everyone gets Tower Bridge and London Bridge.
They get confused.
And all the time. Google London Bridge, and it will show you pictures of Tower Bridge. Even Google absolutely 100% gets it wrong. So I don't blame anyone for that. The cool thing is I can see London, like it goes Tower Bridge, which is the gateway to the Thames and the city. And then you've got London Bridge as well, which is the kind of the square of it all. So I quite often on Instagram or wherever in the mornings, if I'm in the city and there's something special about the skyline or whatever, I'll take a video, I'll take a picture and throw it on Instagram. And quite often it's the view from London Bridge, often beautifully framed is Tower Bridge. And yes, before anyone asks out there in Chatland, yes, I do have Tower Bridge yet to build. I randomly bought it once when I was on holiday. Got a great deal on it. Couldn't resist. And so I'll build it one day, and maybe one day it'll be in the city too. So
nice.
It was it's an interesting story, and I would have liked to still been doing it as with someone else or something like that. But equally, all of a sudden I was like, I could do what I want whenever I want. And,
absolutely.
So it was kind of nice. It was like getting out of It was a bit like getting out of a relationship, because it totally was like one. And it was like, okay, well, there are cons to it, but equally there are pros to it as well.
There are absolutely pros. And what was the format of the show when you got started? What was that like, or the videos on the channel?
Okay, so I always advise this to anyone who's kind of aspiring to be on YouTube and stuff like that. I just started doing speed builds. It was really cool. I love good music. So I was like, well, do you know what? We could do the speed build. We can try and make it as interesting as we possibly can. Just getting together with it. And I was only just using a tiny little Sony camera. That's all I used. It was quite good, even to today's standards. The quality of it looks pretty good. And it was a case of building it fairly quickly and trying to make it in our own kind of fashion style. And then really applying the music to it. And what we were trying to do, we were just trying to be kind of regular. That was the thing you was always trying to do back in those days. So we're talking like four years ago or so. And you want to be kind of on a Friday around this kind of time. And then what you do is you kind of forever looking at your stats and stuff, and thinking 2 days later, it's like, I've only had 25 views. What's going on? But that's YouTube is quite a grind, to be honest. It's unless you get one of those videos that really goes viral, it's kind of like sort of plod around. And certainly next year my aim is to hit 10,000. I'm not a billion miles away from it now. But 10,000 would be nice, and 5,000 on Instagram. That's kind of like my goals going forward. But because I don't necessarily go where the populace is, I'm not always going to sort of get the massive views and stuff like that. That said, live stream wise, I think I do pretty well.
You do pretty well. You do great. I've tuned into several London Calling episodes at this point. You do great. And the fact that you're able to juggle, for those that don't know the format, it's a panel style format. Greg has several guests every week who speak about different things going on in the Lego world at the time, as well as sharing things that they're up to. And it's always a big panel. And admittedly, when I first watched your show, I was overwhelmed by the amount of people on a given episode, watching, the fact that you were juggling all these panelists. And I have to commend you on the fact that you do a great job of managing everyone on there. So wonderful, wonderful work doing that. And the fact that you do it, in my opinion, so effortlessly, watching you live, this show is a one-on-one thing. Part of that is very intentional because it allows me to manage what's going on. So well done.
Thank you. I like I never did. I think this is practically the first time I've ever done a kind of a one-on-one thing.
Okay.
There was, of course, I was on Cali Brick Click a couple of times as well. But there's a team of them kind of coming at you.
Right. You get a bunch of group, like a group.
In the nicest way.
Yeah, of course.
Way. So this is kind of nice. And this stuff like this, I'm certainly opening myself up to more in the future. There's a good friend of mine called Liz, and I'm going to be sort of teeing up with her at one time as well. And it's kind of like, I do like change as much as I like. When I say I like change, I don't like going through change. I am just like everyone else, really. But I think when you start getting comfortable, that's when you've really got to change things. And I like exploring new things. I like my wife, for example. She's traveled all over the world. She's lived all over the world, and it's really hard to get her to go back to the same place ever again. So we've kind of got one location in England that we continuously go back to. Is a place called Bath, famous for all sorts of things, but mostly the architecture and stuff like that. So we stay in a nice place there. Yeah. But when it comes to the rest of the world, it's kind of like, I'm going somewhere. I'm always going to be going somewhere I've never been to before. Yeah. So it's kind of good. It always takes me out of my comfort zone, because I like things to be sometimes in a certain order. As much as I love chaos, and lots of cool things come out of chaos, there is always a part of me that likes a certain familiarity, which is when you watch London Calling, there is quite often a backbone of people that I kind of have on quite regularly. And the weird thing is, this last week that happened, I had hardly anyone of my regular team in. So it was because this time of year, it's simple as that. People away, they're on holiday, or they might be doing festive parties and stuff like that, which was the case this Friday. So, and I had a couple of people on that have never been on before. So two KFOs were on recently and newly appointed into land, which is cool. Yeah. And I had on Ollie Gregory as well, who is one of the lead designers over at Lego. So it was cool having them on. Yeah. But I didn't have any kind of other. I had Andrew on, Brick and Brood. He's a very, very regular guy on the panel. But otherwise, it was kind of all slightly peripheral people that were on. And like I'm saying that, half asleep Chris, he was on. So calling him slightly peripheral is kind of probably sounds a little bit underwhelming. He's one of the biggest Lego YouTubers ever. I was going to say, but he was on. But he knows me, and I know him, and stuff like that. So it was all pretty cool. Yeah. And so I thought, well, this is a bit challenge. This is the challenge this is going to be, and it was off and on whether or not Ollie was actually going to be on as well. But he works for a toy manufacturer, and he even messaged me just before it. He said, "Who would ever believe that it would be busy for a toy manufacturer around Christmas?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you picked the time to come on." But no, he was great, and it ended up being I had so many, like, literally overwhelmed by the amount of people that got in touch with me since Friday and now, to say how much they enjoyed that episode. And it's had 1,200 views so far, so it's people are liking it. People are liking it. And but it's nice that London Calling now is still as relevant today as what it was kind of nearly 4 years ago when I started out on it. So that's kind of my primary thing. If someone said, "What are you most proud for on your channel?" by a billion miles, it would be London Calling.
Yeah. In terms of London Calling, how has it changed over the years?
There is a format on there, whereas kind of you get everyone on, see how you're going, what you've been up to. Then there's there's always the Lego news. I never just really go into it too much in the early days. Quite often in the early days, I'd actually do a lot of building on it, and then I just realized that I'm trying to connect up all these people together, and everyone can kind of learn a little bit from each other and stuff like that. So I kind of stopped doing the building and focused more on the connections. So, for example, on Friday, Half Asleep Chris is massively into his trains. Ollie Gregory, he's massively into his trains as well. He's the designer of the Orient Express over there, which he kindly signed for me back in the day, because I met him about 4 weeks ago.
Wonderful. That's amazing.
Yeah, and the cool thing was, and it was a really nice thing, it was like, "Oh, I know you. You're Greg from London Bridge Bricks." And I was like, "Yeah." And I just sort of said to him, I said, "Would you like to come on at London Calling?" He says, "Yeah, come on in a couple of weeks if you like."
Wonderful.
I was like, "Yeah, brilliant." And to be fair to Ollie, great guy, he totally did. And the great thing of having him on was just learning about all these stories and stuff like that. He's got some great stories, and it was good. And we could be a little bit tongue in cheek with him as well, because just give you an example. For years, I say years, about a year and a half now, we talk about it quite a lot on my channel. If we talk about trees, sometimes Lego trees can be absolutely rubbish, like the blacksmith shop and stuff like that. Great set, terrible tree. It's a nightmare tree.
I agree.
And Ollie actually designed. He was one of the 4 designers for the A-frame cabin, and I always said, and so did various other people, that the trees in that were like really subpar. And of course, I got the designer on, so I had to go there.
Of course, it
wouldn't be authentic if I didn't.
Yeah, honest feedback.
So I did, and it was we kind of did it in a bit of a constructive way, and he was really good about it. And he gave a good reason as to why they did it in that particular style. They could have gone one really bushy tree, but they didn't. They went for 3 different kind of trees that some people call more twiggy or weedy and stuff like that. So he took that well. And of course, the weird thing is, and this is one of my favorite parts of the stream, is people send me in their pictures that they've taken that week. So it might be stuff they've bought, stuff they've seen, stuff that they've mocked up, and anything like that. So they email it to me at londonbridgebricks@gmail.com, or they just DM me over on Instagram. And so we always do that. That takes up probably about 15-20 minutes, because we sometimes kind of very much zoom in on said pictures. And the nice thing is as well, I wanted a way, and I've still got some ideas of ways that I want to of kind of breaking through that fourth wall. And I know you can chat with the chat, but I want to I just wish I want to bring them along more. And pictures was a really cool way of being able to do that, and that's great. I love doing that, I really do. And I kind of repay that as well, because every week people send me in pictures. I'll pick kind of 4 that work well together, and then I'll throw something out on Instagram as a kind of, these are the pictures that we had on London Calling last week. And that kind of prompts people to remember, oh yeah, I must send Greg pictures this week as well. Yeah. And things like that. So it's kind of like you create this kind of ecosystem amongst yourself. Like London Calling, every week when I do a London Calling, I pick a Lego background. Simple as that. I pick pretty much, I'd say, I mean, I do have to use the same pictures every now and again, but pretty much you'll look at London Calling and you'll see a completely different Lego background. And it's just like, it could be bricks from my collection, could be bricks from the pad wall. Yeah. Last week I used plates in the shape of hearts, because we were doing a particular stream for the Lego campaign of Build to Give. And for that, I thought I would use that. And then once I've got the background, it's a case of, right, what track of music do I want to use as well? I love music. I really do. Big music enthusiast as well. And I love Sonics and lyrics. They're my most important part. And so I picked Heart. It's a song called Heart, pretty obvious one, really. I don't normally go down the obvious trail. But this week I wanted to use Heart by Pet Shop Boys, and the really cool thing about that track, love the Pet Shop Boys, by the way, West End Girls. It's a classic from the 80s, folks. If you've never heard of them, do yourself a favor, Google them, you'll love it. West End Girls. I literally grew up listening to that song. And the great thing with that track is they remixed it. There's about 10 different remixes available on Instagram. Yeah. So every now and again, I could use a different track. So literally Tuesdays is when I normally start the rolling out the London Calling's coming kind of thing. So you'll get just the straight raw background with a hashtag London Calling on it, with this week's decisive music. And sometimes I might even put the lyrics showing up on it and stuff like that. And that's it. That's kind of like the beacon being held up for it. And then the next day, then I'll do something else. And I've got a special guest on, like, for example, Titanium J52. Yeah. A couple of weeks ago. Yeah. He's been on loads of times, but I wanted him to be kind of like my special guest that week, because it was his 23rd birthday. I actually thought he was 37. But he said to me he's 23. Yeah, I like to be a bit cheeky as well. Yeah. And I could do that with Taito. He's a good lad, TJ. And I can't wait to meet him next year as well when I go to Chicago. And so I was like, well, I wanted to make it a little bit more special for him. And for him coming on, because he's been on loads of times. I mean, he must have been on about 20 times over the years.
Yeah.
And so I got him to send me a picture, and then I dressed him up with a hat and some balloons in the background and stuff like that. And I just said, this week is, our special guest is Titanium J, because he's the birthday boy. Yeah. And that's exactly how I introduced him as well. And the nice thing about that is, I want, because I always want people to have fun. That's the main thing, is come on, have fun.
Yeah.
And it does. Some people that have come on in the past, it absolutely blows their mind, because they'll be like, okay, what do you want to talk about? They send me like a bullet point list of what's the theme, what are we talking about, and that. And I literally, I've done this before to 3 people in particular, and it's just like, I've just put fun on it. Literally, when I send it back to them, I said there is a format. I do try and make it 2.5 hours. It's never happens. It's always about 3 hours, and it's just about having fun, talking about what's happened that week. And if there really isn't much to talk about that week, then there's going to be a good 6 of us on there at least. Let's talk about ourselves. What have we got? What are we doing? Yeah. And all this sort of stuff. There's a lot of things that happen.
Yeah.
And also we can just talk about life as well. Like, life is all a part of it. And life isn't all about, building a UCS Millennium Falcon or a Galaxy Explorer ship or messing around with an Ninjago mech or anything like that. It's right. All the other stuff that you have to do to finally throw yourself over the line and start actually building something, and let alone all the content stuff that you got to create in and around all that as well.
Yeah.
So it's something that I'm so glad I did, and I try and keep it in brand with London this, London that. So
right,
London Calling is my primary thing. It's bigger than me now. Like that's why I've done it a couple of times. Some good friends of mine, they jumped in originally. Craig and Richard, they jumped in. They just did the stream. They literally got in touch with me and said, like, we'll do it for you. I'm like, great. Here's the keys to the kingdom. Do your thing. Thank you so much. Yeah. I did the intro and everything like that, and then I did the same recently with the Brick Mods covering it as well. And I just said to them, I said, look, just have fun with it. Be yourselves. Don't do anything different. Be yourselves. And it was great. I felt really proud and privileged, because all I ever wanted to do, firstly, I wanted to get into YouTube to survive.
Yeah.
And secondly, I kind of spoke about this recently with Shai, and he was in the same frame of mind of mine. I just wanted to be respected. I don't want to be massive. I really don't, because I've got a day job, and I've got a very consuming day job as well. What I wanted to do is just be respected. Just people know me. Oh yeah, I know Greg, London Bridge Bricks. Blah 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 blah. And that was it. And that, I kind of feel, after all this time, I kind of feel I'm there now. I've got there. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of been a bit of a journey, but I'm kind of here now as well.
Yeah, I love that whole thing. Like you, I have a day job. I have a life outside of the content. I work a very full-time job as well. Have a family, and so like you, I think I'm not out to make it big, right? I'm just out to I think, like you, be respected, right? It's really just I want people to, whoever consumes or sees the content that I put out, they can say, oh yeah, that was a great experience. I really enjoyed whatever it was about, consuming that content. I know what Crossing the Streams is, or I know who Amor is in the community. And honestly, yeah, I'm not looking for anything big either. It's just whoever sees, hears, or somehow makes a connection with this content, they can look back and say, yeah, I'm familiar with that. It's good stuff. I liked it. And so I can connect with you on that exact same feeling in terms of what it means to do what we do, right? And this is we were talking about this as we were preparing to go live. It's a lot of work, right? It's a lot behind the scenes. There's a lot of prep. There's a lot of things to do. It's not necessarily just you hit a button and it's good to go, right? So, yeah.
It is. Getting 8 people on is hard work, and that's why I'm so lucky to have a backbone of people that kind of want to regularly come on, and equally I've got people that come on very in long breaks in and amongst themselves, but I kind of watch their stuff, they watch mine, and I like getting them on. I like diversity in the people that come on, and sometimes I do really think about how these different people are going to blend together, and sometimes I think these guys are they're definitely won't mix, but I'll put them in anyway because I kind of want to see it. It's almost like London Calling is like a social experiment of will this work or won't it? And it's interesting, like for example Ollie coming on Friday. I was really nervous about him being on not because he's a Lego designer or anything like that. Because I've met the guy. We literally hit it off together straight away. It was brilliant. Very easy guy to get on with. Incredibly interesting as well. What came from it was the fact that I'd heard from him from the Friday before he was coming on. So literally, 10 minutes before I went live on London Calling 201, he said, "Greg, yeah, definitely up for this. I'll see you next Friday." And he would say, like, super busy at the moment, blah, blah, blah. So then I didn't hear from him. I'd messaged him, DM'd him and said, like, hopefully you're okay. If you want to come on, if you want to do like a test connection or anything like that, feel free to get in touch. Any queries, any problems, reach out to me. I'm trying to make him feel comfortable.
Right.
And by doing that, because he didn't get back to me, he made me feel uncomfortable because I was like, "Oh God, is he going to come? I can't really promote you, Ollie, because I don't know if you're absolutely confirmation that you're coming on." So that kind of made me nervous. And literally about 3 hours before the stream started, he said, "Yeah, I can't wait. Looking forward to this. It's going to be brilliant."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Great!" And I was like, "Ooh," it's completely relaxed then. So that was it. And that's kind of like that's the way you got to go with it. Sometimes when you're live, you are really exposed.
Oh yeah.
And you kind of learn a lot about yourself, and it kind of makes you feel alive as well, which is the excitement and the anxiety that I take. I mean, for me, excitement is I do think anxious.
They're one and the same.
They are.
Yeah.
I absolutely. I totally think excitement and that is basically a positive take on anxiety. And anxiety is just when you're kind of. It's kind of like a negative kind of excitement.
Yeah,
it's the two are the same. It's two of the same. They both have exactly the same effect on me. They really do. And I get the giggles, or I just or I forget to breathe, I forget to eat, or stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. And I kind of think, well, you can control what you can control without being controlling. But have fun. Once you're live, that's it. And that's why I do that's why I always do the drum roll at the beginning of London Calling. It is literally, I did it as a way of releasing some energy. And I just do it all the time now. It's become second nature.
Yeah.
And people expect it. That's just the funniest thing. People absolutely expect it now.
Yeah.
Even the more when I'm doing intros and stuff like that. There was a time where people with tongue-in-cheek, Titanium definitely being one of them, where they say, blimey, Greg, you take your time with these introductions. And I thought at one time, and this was a long time ago, and even recently I've asked people, I said, should I stop the introduction? Should I just start the stream with the panel? Boom, there.
Just go right to it.
It just goes right to it. Everyone's in. That's it. All right, what have you been up to this week? And they were like, no, I want to be introduced on. So I've always got to come up with some descriptive way of describing people when they come on.
Yeah.
So like half asleep Chris, I'd always say to people, where do people live? And if you live somewhere down south, I notoriously call it lower than a snake's belly, or somewhere like half asleep Chris, I got no idea where he lives. Actually, I do. But I said he lives in a semi-conscious state, is the way I described him, because he's half asleep. And, and it's just, I kind of have a bit of fun with that.
Yeah.
I completely make it up on the spot. Like literally, it's completely spontaneous. And sometimes it works. And sometimes it might fall a bit flat. But 99% of the time, I think I'm just about there.
Yeah.
But it's part and parcel of being live.
Yeah. So the intros are staying, is what you're saying. The method of
the intros are staying. Yeah. I'm trying to get them down to about 10, maybe 15 minutes tops. Depends how chatty people are. But then I kind of always make a point of going around. The point is shining the light on everyone. Everyone then gets comfortable being there, doing it, being together in this group, because it's very strange. Like people, it's a really weird thing. I've noticed it in the last 2 years, definitely through the pandemic. People want to do YouTube, and they're like straight away, they jump in and they'll do live streams, and it's like they haven't really thought about what's it like doing a video and then doing a live stream. And I'm like, they're completely two different things.
It's true.
Like they're nothing alike. It just happens to be able to do both things on one platform.
Yeah.
And people can be come across very different in a video as what they do in real life. And I've definitely shown that by people that I have on my panel. But also I've given them a safe place to kind of be able to express themselves as well and be themselves in my environment.
Absolutely.
So it's funny because I'd always point people, if someone says, I want to be a YouTuber or something like that, and you kind of get that all the time, especially mums come up to you when you're in the Lego store or something like that. Oh, my son wants to be a YouTuber. Have you got any tips? And I'll always say, do you know what? Start on Instagram. You can do live streams on Instagram. You can throw out photographs. You can throw out videos. You could do the whole shkabill on it, and that's really why primarily people will know me for doing live streams. But equally, I love doing videos as well. But videos, as hard work as doing a live stream is, videos are more time consuming. Which is, for me, my balance is doing live streams and doing shorts. And shorts are just an ongoing experiment as well. And most recently, I've kind of stopped doing shorts. I mean, when I say most recently, I'm talking like weeks. That's always, it's just been a few weeks. And I've just kind of done a bit of a refocus on Instagram, because I kind of want to get up to about 5,000 on that if I can. And then, and especially at the moment with kind of personal life and work and stuff like that, it's easier for me to really focus hard on the live streams, of which I've been doing loads recently. This is the only stream I've done this weekend, but last weekend I streamed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so 4 days, continuous streaming, and it's tiring. It's really tiring.
It is.
And when you wake up on a Saturday morning, there's always a bit of there's a guy called Craig. He kind of coined the phrase for me. It's kind of like London calling hangover, because I use so much energy in it that I feel like I've been to the gym and done a hard workout for like 2 or 3 hours. And there's always the come down as well. You've got to kind of relax down into then going to bed, because I normally go to bed probably about 1-ish, if I'm lucky, on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And of course I'm excited about it being the weekend. So as soon as I'm up on Saturday, I'm like, right, let's get up, let's do stuff. And then sometimes I've got to be like, no, take it easy for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And and relax into the weekend.
How do you prepare for live streams or a series of live streams, knowing that it's going to take all that energy from you? How do you get into that?
Do you know, I got to be honest, right? So it kind of starts on Saturday, the next day, in all honesty, because it's all about having things done in certain times of the week. So, for example, that could be that could be like just basically designing the thumbnail. Go back maybe 50 streams ago. I just used to use it would come up with a banner on the bottom saying live stream, London Calling at the top banner, and then I would have the choice of the Lego background for that particular week.
Right.
And then I'd put my sig fig cartoon in the middle of it. After I don't know, I kind of wanted to change something up in and around that time. And I thought, well, I want to keep it familiar, but I want to change it as well. So I changed the font, kept it called it London Calling still, and right. I kind of went for this 2/3. I don't know, you'd call it really almost like the actual thumbnail is like 2/3 a color that basically blends itself well with the choice of Lego for that week. And so that takes a little bit of time, not too long. That doesn't take too long at all. The bit that takes the time is what we're going to be talking about that week. So you're kind of waiting for the news to drop to then throw images into it and stuff like that. So basically you could pretty much look at the thumbnails of the live stream and get a pretty good idea what we're going to be talking about that particular week. And since then, it's really helped people kind of come to it. And that's when I started then. And it was around the time that YouTube started classifying certain things as podcasts, and that's when I started putting London Calling in as a podcast and categorizing it like that. And that's when I sort of went up a gear on that as well. And then I kind of do an intro. So the intro, every single introduction is completely different to the other one. Well, the same music, same sort of effects, but of course you've got the different background and thumbnail itself. So there's that sort of continuity with it. So it's changed, but it was also familiar as well for people that have been kind of long-termers watching London Calling.
Yeah. And as you're getting ready for your show, whatever series of streams you're going to do for the week, maybe you're feeling particularly tired from everything that's going on. How do you get yourself in that right mindset and area of energy to do these things?
Honestly, it's really easy, right? Chocolate helps. So you get the sugar rush. Yeah. And sometimes I've been a bit over-energized. And all I think to myself is just to be good for 3 hours. And after that, you can literally collapse into a heap. You'll be fine. And to be honest, once I get going, the chat, the people on the panel, they can carry me. It's as simple as that. I want to be good for everyone. I want people to tune in and enjoy what I do, and I want them to be the kind of almost like the kind of stars of it as well, which is kind of why I like interacting with the chat as much as I can, and obviously with the panel, because I have people on like, for example, like Jang. And he's got I think he's got like 1.3 million subscribers.
Oh yeah.
And I'll equally have someone else on who's got 250 subscribers.
Yeah.
But what makes it good? But it's not. I don't care about how many subscribers you've got. What I care about is you, and you having a good time. So there was one time when Jang was coming on a few weeks at a time. And I think Tiago was coming on in and around that time as well.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, what I wanted people to do, and to be honest, they don't even know this. This is kind of how I kind of worked it all out. I wanted these people that I have on regularly. I mean, people that are slightly peripheral, to enjoy being on with these people, because people like Tiago and Jang are really big guns in our world.
Oh yeah,
they really are.
Sure,
they're like, if you're in trouble, call them in. They'll get you out of trouble. They're the cavalry and everything. They are. They'll save the day. They're like the SAS of the YouTube community.
Yeah,
and but I want people like you. I want other people to experience being around. And the cool thing was when I had Jang on last time, I had Christopher Lee on as well, aka Duck Bricks.
Yeah,
and he was totally excited.
He was taken aback. I recall this. Yeah,
because he'd always wanted to meet Jang.
Yeah,
and And I was like, oh my God, this is such a proud moment. I was like, yes, this is why I do it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to select people that I knew was going to appreciate being on with them people. Not because I thought they were like safe hands or anything like that. I just, I want everyone to enjoy something, and if I can kind of provide that, then great. And also as well, there's the chat, so people send me in pictures. I mean, when like someone like, so for example, a friend of mine on Instagram, she's called Car Maker, but her name's Eureka, or Ulrika, as I keep being told, we showed off some work that she did, and she built these massive, great big custom buildings, and essentially what they are, they're mocks of Diagon Alley. There's a guy that creates these mocks called I think Ministry of Building or something like that. His name is. He's a really, really nice guy. James, his name is, and he. So he creates them, and she always builds them. She absolutely loves what he does, and I love showing off the pictures of it. And of course, the synergy there is when I got to the segment of the show when I'm showing off her staff. You've got people like, I don't know, like Ollie, who's like a Lego designer, looking at that and saying, "Oh my God, that's so nice. It really is." And that's kind of like the buzz that I got of it. And so the guy is like I say, his name's James, but his Ministry of Making is his kind of thing. He's so look him up on Instagram, folks. Honestly, he's really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's great because she knew. I said, look, I'd really love you to show these pictures off. I've got this Lego designer coming on. Half Asleep Chris is going to be there. I'd like them to see what other people were doing. And she's like, yeah, great. Just do me a favor. Can you just make sure Ministry of Making is mentioned as well? I'm like, totally. And this is how going back to that ecosystem, this is how it kind of works. People connect to other people because it's really hard to see everyone and everything everywhere at the same time. And it's just a way of just throwing it all out there and stuff like that. And it's just a way of doing stuff that I love most, which is trying to connect the dots and connecting people and stuff like that. And and that's it. That's it. Really, it's people. It's the connecting thing. It's the connection thing. It's basically being human, a very normal human being, but on this thing that we all watch on monitors and PC screens,
bringing that
phones,
bringing that human element to this digital age that we're so deeply entrenched in now, and connecting people through that platform sounds like something that you find incredibly important. And I see it in everything you do, and it makes total sense that why wouldn't you have a panel so large? Because you want to bring all these fantastic people together in one place so you can all experience it together. One thing you said earlier that really resonated with me is that you wanted that experience for the panelists to also be great. You want them to enjoy their time on the panel. So you're looking to also really often as creators, we think about the experience that we're putting in front of the viewers or the community. But what I really loved about what you said there was that you're also thinking about the people on the panel. You're thinking about the creators on the other side of the screen, the ones in front of the camera, because you want them to feel great about that time as well.
Life is a funny old thing in the sense that you get to a certain age, and I'm knocking on a little bit more and more, and life as Lego is quite a materialistic kind of thing. It really is. Whichever way you look at it, it really is. It's a complete luxury to have. It really is.
Yeah.
But what I want as I go on through life is experiences, and if I can bring someone a really good experience, or as good of an experience as I possibly can, or I'll have someone in mind, then I will. Because for someone like Titanium, a couple of weeks ago, being his birthday, I thought, do you know what? You could kind of be my guest of honor for the week. I want you to do it. It's your birthday. I mean, the thing is, it's a really big deal, right? My streams aren't short. London Calling's like somewhere between 2.5, 3.5 hours. It's always around that time. I think one or twice I've maybe gone over the 4-hour mark. There are exceptions to the rules.
Right.
But it's his birthday. It's his birthday. It's only, and it's a big deal for me. I'm like, my God, are you sure you want to come on your birthday? And he's like, yeah, I want to be there. Yeah. So, and someone like, and she's out there tonight, which I'm super stoked to have her out there, Snedana. She, on a number of occasions, all right, she is such a good ambassador for Australian Lego, right? I love Lego Masters Australia. It's for me, it just hits the mark perfectly on all levels, and so often she's got up mega early in the morning, and she has done a live stream. She's live streamed to me on London Calling via Australia, showing us around, where showing us some of the displays that are on a particular Lego event. And I honestly, I absolutely so appreciate that. And quite often, when people come on, I might not do it the day after or the day after that, but at some point during the week, I always thank everyone for being on, because that is say for example, I've got like 6 people on, 6 times 3 hours. That's a lot of people's time coming on.
Yeah.
And time is incredibly precious. It really is. And even in my work game that I do, time literally is money. It really is. And everyone's got deadlines and stuff like that. And sometimes people can't make it onto London Calling, and sometimes, things happen, life happens. It's fine. It's one of those things. But I absolutely 100% appreciate everybody who in any which way are somehow connected into it. And that's it really. I always like to give back what I've been given, because it's important to me, and I like it being out there for people, and it kind of puts London on the map as well. And yeah, I don't know. It's just a nice thing to do. I think, yeah, why not? I'd love it if someone did it for me. I love being here now, and I feel like I'm getting a lot of things off my chest. It's always like a sort of counseling session or something. But it's very rare that I would talk like this, because I wouldn't necessarily do it on London Calling.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit like blowing your own trumpet.
Well, I'm glad you're sharing. I really am, and that's what this is for. This time and space here. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm hearing it's all about the experiences. It's all about the connections that we get to make for everyone around us as well. And I really love that idea. And certainly, I walked away from my experience on London Calling, because I've been on there twice now, and I really do appreciate. I really do appreciate that, getting to be in a call, or figuratively being in a room with other people that share my love for Lego, but also some of the other things that we have in common that we discover while on the show, right? I mean, before you and I sat down to talk, you mentioned all the things that you thought were really interesting about me, in terms of not just the Lego side of things, but the comic books and the being a Marvel fan and things like that, wanting to unwrap those things. And I think that's what I love about doing this show as well, is discovering all the things about the people on it that you don't really get to hear when they're doing their stream or their show or whatever videos they're making, and that's why I love having this candid conversation about what it is we do on the internet in terms of making content. So thank you for opening up on all of that. So Absolutely.
You're welcome. It's a good thing to do. I like learning about people as well. I'm kind of a secret nerd when it comes to stuff like anthropology and things like that. And I know you know quite a bit about psychology and things like that, and I think that really lends itself quite nicely with what you do on here more. So stuff like that intrigues me. And it was a bit like when I was at school. I was a terrible learner at school. Like my attention, I've got the attention from that. The only things that I could really ever get into that I was fine with was either cooking, which was strange, art, and classical studies, which when you're learning about Greek and Roman mythology and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And strangely enough, that was kind of like the subject that brought on my reading skills, because I always remember going to a comics. It wasn't a comic store; it was just a newsagent's, and I went in there and I opened up this comic. It was an edition of Secret Wars, going back in the day, the first edition of it. This new Secret Wars that's coming out, very different in the Marvel universe, and I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. This is Greek mythology, but the modern version of it, and I loved it as well. And that's kind of where all that spawned from, is kind of realizing those sort of things, and then you kind of talk with people that are in that kind of community and stuff like that. I don't do that quite so much anymore, because I found Lego's been quite consuming, but comics, and I even occasionally collect these sort of things as well, from Hasbro, the Black series. And I just buy random ones of these ones that I just like. And I bought this because I just thought he was the best character in Ahsoka.
He was wonderful in Ahsoka, man. It was so good.
He has such stage presence. It's and when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, I want more. It's weird. Isn't that a human thing? You always want what you can't have, and he was one of them. He was like, because he passed away, I was always intrigued as to how that character moves on. And it kind of finished it with him well. I don't know if that will be it, but he kind of went on his own adventure, so that's kind of good enough. I don't think, just like life, I don't think there has to be absolute certainties as to how something concludes. I quite like a little bit of mystery, and I think that keeps the charm. And I hate goodbyes as well. That's another thing.
I can completely agree, and I definitely I love your point about you don't like those discreet goodbyes, right? Like you just little mystery there. So where's this all going, Greg? Where's London Calling headed? Where's your content going? What are we doing going forward after this year and after 200 episodes?
Well, I think London Calling, I like it where it's at the moment. There's one or two extra things I do want to introduce to it. Like, for example, I'd really like to start getting a person that either someone that's kind of sometimes comes on the panel, or just someone who doesn't necessarily come on ever, but they're always in the chat and stuff like that. I'd like them to send me in like a video question for the panel that week. Again, I don't think no one else does it. I've never seen anyone do it. But it's something. It's another way of me connecting to people. And if people are happy to do something like that, I'll certainly float the idea with a few people and just give it a go and see how that kind of takes off. But that's a really nice one, because it's a single question, and I can ask it to 6 or 8 people, and hopefully I'll get 6 or 8 different answers as well. And it, short of doing something like a sort of people joining literally like a phone in and coming in, it's something I just think would be good. And also as well, there's a lot of people out there that just I kind of thinking, oh, shall I do YouTube or something like that? And, certainly a lot of my members are kind of YouTube wannabes, or they just want to learn stuff as well. And they like what I do, and they want to ask a lot of questions. So I do, London Underground streams and stuff like that, and Greater London member streams and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and quite often it's the questions, how do you do this? What do you do? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, but I'd like to do something like that whereby people get a chance to actually be on YouTube in a bit of a video form, just asking a question that might take 30 seconds or something like that, and they can send it to me in portrait or widescreen format, whatever's easiest for them, really. But that's something I'm going to start floating around soon, and hopefully kick off in 2024. So that's going to be that's where that goes. I still the thing we do talk about rumors, but what I'd really like to do, where I'd like to go, and I've had on maybe 3 or 4 Lego designers from Lego, the Lego group themselves at times. I just want to get more diverse people on as well, and from Lego as well, not just people that are regular YouTubers and stuff like that.
Right.
I crave diversity, and when I started YouTube, there wasn't that much diversity out there.
Yeah.
And for example, there just wasn't many female YouTubers and stuff like that. So I made a point of going out there, finding them, and getting them on. And these days, there's plenty of female YouTubers and Twitchers out there and stuff like that. So women are well represented in that space, and now it goes on for other things, other diverse things as well. With, like, say, for example, Justin being just too good, back in the day being Justin, and now going through that transition and being Sarah and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to shy away from things like that, and I just want people to, again, Sarah, to be comfortable being on, and she's been on, and it's been wonderful. She's been greeted with a lot of warm love, and it's just been a good thing. And I kind of always want London Calling to be representative of London, really. Right. If you come to London, Amor, have you ever actually been to England before?
Never been, but I would love to.
I'd love you to come as well.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, folks, right? Stand on London Bridge for half an hour, and you will see every walk of life there is walk past you. Wow. And that is kind of my inspiration always for London Calling. That's where I want that always to go. I want London Calling to be an absolute snapshot of where the AFOL community is at that time.
Yeah.
And if you go back to the early ones, the mid ones in the early 100s and the 200s, it is a snapshot of where the AFOL community is at that moment in time. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. And I'm always going to be pushing for that, for diversity, representation, and just getting on people on that I like. Yeah. It really is like that. And I'm like that and I think you're a bit like that when it comes to Lego sets. And I certainly am. Like, absolutely. People don't come to me and go, "Oh, Greg, I love Greg because he does Star Wars. He's my Star Wars man." I'm not, of course.
Right.
But in the future, and this is one of the things I'm kind of really pivoting around for in 2024, is to do, outside of doing the live streams, as doing vlogging. I think vlogging is something I do genuinely enjoy doing. People seem to enjoy them as well. And the city is going to become a thing. The plan being next that I build the Christmas train, or the festive holiday train. And then I'm going to be building the Orient Express, which is an absolutely gorgeous set. I haven't built it yet, and I got it about a week before everyone else did, which was nice because it's a bit like it felt like I was in land that day. And then I'm going to be building this particular Lego set. It's called Studgate, and it's basically a giant train station. And that is going to be one of the kind of, I'd say, a centerpiece, but it ain't going in the center. It's going to be well represented, should we say, in the city, and then the city will be built around that. I want a train track going around the city, and it's not a big city, which means I've got to go on 2 tiers, and it's at that point, after I built Studgate, that is when Legondan gets kind of rebooted, and then people can kind of see what I'm doing with that, and that's going to be a big focus.
That's
for me
going to
in
be
2024.
Huge, I imagine.
Yeah.
Right? That's
a time consumer.
That's going to be major.
I want to be doing. For that, I want to be doing at least one update a month. That's bare minimum. But in between all that, when I'm doing vlogging and things like that, when I'm doing live streaming, I want to be doing member live streams and doing the city at the same time. That's why I kind of came up with. I got various other streams that I do. London Eye, which are generally streams with me, myself, and I, maybe one or two others occasionally, where I'm building stuff. And again, different vibe, really different
totally
vibe,
different.
Right? You're in my world then. And then got London Underground, which are the member streams. So they're the ones where people just kind of see what I'm doing in between stuff. And then there's the Greater London stream for the absolute top tier. I've only got 2 tiers. I'm not that big. I'm quite cheap, really. I'm quite affordable. But I want to give stuff back. Well, it's a bit like well, that's what I do for the members. But you know what? If someone gives me a super chat or something like that, I'll pop their name up down here on London Wall. Which is again a thing, folks. Look it up, and basically, I give them a thank you on Instagram as well, as well as running a video and playing that. It's kind of it really is push and pull, give and take, yin and yang, I suppose.
Yeah.
You have to earn that right to be, I don't know, respected, and I want to be what wasn't around when I started, and I kind of feel like I'm there now. So now I can push on a little bit, and 2024 should be a really exciting year for all sorts of things.
That's wonderful. I can't wait to see what you're up to next year. Thank you for this wonderful conversation, Greg. This was great. I know this is only but a small aspect of who you are, the tip of the iceberg, if you will, getting to know you. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I want to make sure all of you out there are following Greg on all of his places here. I'm going to put that in the chat. It'll be in the show notes and all that as well. But man, thank you, Greg. It's been wonderful getting to know you. Love London Calling. I love what you do out there. It's been great. Can't wait to be on the show again. And yeah, this was wonderful. And you're always welcome back if you want to talk more about what we do here on the internet, making this content. It's always great. It's always great chatting with you. And I really appreciate all of you guys. Please check out London Bridge Bricks. We'll definitely see more of Greg here, and you'll probably see me on occasion on London Calling.
I think you're coming on very soon.
Very soon. Yeah. And in less than a week, right?
Yeah,
I'll be
absolutely.
there.
I think it's next week.
Next week. Yeah.
That's one of my things. As of Mondays, I started just checking in with people. You okay to come on this weekend?
Yeah.
And badgering people a little bit, just making sure that they're all good. It's no, I've totally enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed this. It's
good.
It's quite refreshing. It's lovely and exciting and everything I love about everything, to be honest.
Good.
So thanks for having me, Amor. You're always welcome on London Calling. I think you do some great stuff.
Thank you.
I think you take it really seriously in a good way. And I've since the moment I've come across you, I've wanted to get you on here and for London Calling, and I did that, and that's always a good thing. And I look forward to not only coming back on here again sometime in the near future, but also having you on a few times.
Absolutely,
for at least
as much as I'm able to. I will be there. And yeah, thank you for everything. There is one last ritual we do on this show, which is, of course, final thoughts, final words. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can be bits of wisdom. It can be a quote, a saying. It could be whatever you like, however you'd like to close out this episode. But the floor is yours, Greg, and thank you again, Greg, for you and your time.
Oh, thanks, Amor. Well, I tell you what I'm going to say. I'm going to expand a little bit on what I say at the end of every single live stream. And it's just a little phrase that I've got at the end of it. But this is kind of like just a small expansion on that. And it's kind of like this thing in one way or another. We're kind of all playing for time, and we should remember to take that time to live life and love and laugh. And Lego is a wonderful thing. It really is. And always remember that each and every one of you out there are too.